Hi guys, Audrey here. This is a JAC capsule on factoring quadratic monic polynomials. So today we're going to be factoring monic quadratic polynomials using what's called the product sum method. So first, let's understand what we mean by a monic quadratic polynomial. A monic polynomial is a polynomial whose leading coefficient is 1. So what that means is we look at the highest power here, that's my x squared. The number in front of that x squared, we don't have a number, so we can think of it as 1. So it's when you have a 1 in front of that leading coefficient. Now, a quadratic polynomial is a polynomial whose highest power is 2. So here that x squared, that's my highest power. That means this is a quadratic polynomial. So when we're factoring these monic quadratic polynomials using the product sum method, we know that we're factoring it into two linear factors. So we'll have that x squared plus bx plus c is equal to x plus n times x plus n, where m times n is equal to c and m plus n is equal to b. Now, if we want to understand why this is true, we can actually just expand x plus m times x plus n. So x plus m times x plus n. We're going to do FOIL here, so we're doing the first terms. So first is x times x, that gives us x squared. Then our outer terms here are going to be the x and the n. So we're doing x times x and then x times n. So we'll have plus nx. And then our inner terms are that m and x. So we're having our inner terms, which will give us plus mx. And then plus our last terms, first, outer, inner, last, m times n. So we have first, outer, inner, last. And this gives us x squared plus, we can see that nx plus mx in the middle. Those are like terms. They both have our coefficient multiplied by x. So this is m plus n times x plus mn. So in order for this to be equal to where we wanted to start, that x squared plus bx plus c, this m plus n needs to be equal to b, and that mn needs to be equal to c. So here, this is important. My m times n is equal to the constant term c, and my m plus n is equal to the coefficient of x, b. So let's see how this works with an actual polynomial. So we're going to factor the polynomial, the monic quadratic polynomial, x squared minus 3x minus 28. And we can see that this is monic because we don't have a number in front of x squared. So it's like 1x squared, and it's quadratic because that leading power is 2. The highest power is 2. So we want two numbers, m and n, where m times n is equal to negative 28 and m plus n is equal to negative 3. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the fact that both of these numbers are negative. We have a negative 28 here. So that tells me that one of the values must be positive and one of the values must be negative. Because if they're both positive, the multiplication, the product, will give me a positive number. And if they're both negative, once again, that product will give me a positive number. So this means one negative, one positive. Now, if we look at m plus n is equal to negative 3, we need for the sum to be negative. What that means is the bigger of the two numbers should be the one that's negative. Now, maybe you're like, I have no idea what two numbers could multiply to give me negative 28. and add to give me -3. So sometimes it's hard to find those two numbers, especially when the constant term is a little bit bigger. So if you're ever having trouble sort of figuring out what the two numbers are, you can start by thinking of 1 as a factor of 28. So in other words, I know that 1 times 28 is equal to 28. Now I know that the bigger number should be negative. So 1 times -28 is equal to -28. But here we have that 1 minus 28 is equal to -27. So the multiplication, the product worked, but that sum did not work. So then we're going to move on to 2. 28 is divisible by 2. And 28 divided by 2 is 14. So 2 times -14 gives me -28. And 2 minus 14 is -12. So here we'll say, but 2 minus 14 is -12. So once again, the product worked. We found a product that worked, but it did not give me the correct sum. So we're going to move on to 3, except that 28 is not divisible by 3. So we're not going to have a product here that's useful to us. 28 is not divisible by 3. So then we're going to move on to 4. And 28 is indeed divisible by 4. It gives me -7. So 4 times -7 is -28. And 4 minus 7 is -3. So in this case, both the product and the sum worked out. So we can say then that x squared minus 3x minus 28 is equal to x plus 4 times x minus 7. And that's my final answer. Now, if we wanted to double check this work, we could use FOIL to expand x plus 4 times x minus 7. And we do our first terms to get x squared minus our outer terms, that's 7x, our inner term plus 4x, and then minus 28. And that does indeed give us x squared minus 3x minus 28. All right, guys, so hopefully this was helpful. That's all for now.